Welcome back to another Fear Fishing tips, tricks, and other random thoughts. Bass fishing in Ontario is almost here. Saturday it opens in my zone 17, Kawartha Lakes open. Sunday, the first CSFL tournament of the year, and I'm gonna give you the dish on the two big guns. Well, there's three, but I'm gonna show you two of them, but it'll make sense when we're done. The two rods that I use, the big 65-pound J-braid on, ultra heavy, ultra, power fishing setups that I'm going to use this weekend, 110%, and two of them my favorite ways to fish for largemouth bass. First one we're going to talk about, frog fishing. Right here, I got my Ish Monroe Daiwa Tatua Elite Series frog rod. This is an absolute fish snatching machine paired up with a Daiwa Tatua CT100. This reel casts an absolute mile. If you've ever watched a podcast, I talk about how when I like combos, I don't really care how old they are. I just like that rod and reel combo, and that's what I like to use. So the CT100 casts an absolute country mile. I like to use it on my frog rod. Frog fishing is one of the techniques that I always use 65-pound braid on. As soon as that fish comes up and you set hook, you're probably going to get him in the dirtiest, sloppiest water possible. And as soon as you set hook on a 5-pounder in the slop, it's really down to your line, your rod, and your reel. You got that drag tightened all the way. There's no give. There's not a whole lot of play in the fish. You just want to get them to the surface and get them to the boat. Frog selections early in the year. I'm going to start with smaller frogs, and throughout the growing season, I'm going to keep upsizing my frog. 4, 5. The opening weekend frog bite is always awesome. Couple frog fishing tips I'm going to give you. I know you guys like to trim when you're smallmouth fishing or finesse fishing or steelhead fishing. You trim your tag. I'm going to leave an absolute little bit of tag there, and that way when I jam hook for the first time and this line tightens up, if that knot slides at all, it's going to have some room to give. If you cut that tag down to nothing and you jam hook, you may unloosen that knot. So because I haven't used any of this, I just spooled this reel up with 65-pound braid, I'm going to leave a little bit of a tag. The other thing, frog. When you're frog fishing, I like to trim the legs on my frog, but here's the trick. I'm going to drag one side shorter than the other. Do you see that? They're not the same length. This is going to help with throwbacks. The number one thing you can do if you get a hit on a frog and he blows up and he misses, throw that frog right back. And this way, with the tails trimmed different length, you're gonna have a much easier time getting that frog to walk in the same place, just giving some action, but you're not pulling the frog away, and they will demolish. Setup 2 and 3. I use same setup with 65-pound braid on my Tatua 7.3 Taco Hero pitching rod. And I have another 8-foot Daiwa combo that I do the same thing on for punching and fishing cane. This shorter rod is amazing for being super accurate. The 8-foot rod is super for putting it way back in the bushes and swinging for the fences. So what I'm going to use this rod for this weekend is punching grass and mat and weeds and thick cover. Again, as soon as you set hook on that fish, there's going to be drag tightened down, and it's going to be down to the rod, reel, and line to do it. So 65-pound braid is not going to break. That's what I like to do. I'm going to show you how I Texas rig it. First, we're going to start with a bobber stop because we want to peg that bait. So we just slide our bobber stop onto our line. Tungsten, you want to use the smallest tungsten you can get away with, but still get through the cover. This is a 3/4 ounce. I do have a bunch of ounce and an ounce and a quarter, but I'm pretty sure that 3/4 ounce is going to be more than enough to get through there. Big old wide gap 5/0 hook. Tie that on there. Trim the tag. Pull my bobber stop down, and I really like using for punching, cane, shallow water, any kind of creature bait. It's very small body size, it's very compact, so that fish is just gonna snatch that up. Texas rig, you run through the top to the bend in the worm weight, flip it over, find out where your hook's going to go through, push it through so that on the other side the hook is not sticking out. But when that fish grabs it, he's going to grab it here. Your hook's exposed. You're gonna use your Takahiro pitching rod, jam hook, and you're gonna pull that fish out of big cover. So this rod and my 8-footer is what I really like to use. 65-pound braid. The frog rod, always high-speed reels. Daiwa. This is an old reel. Talk about Ian not wanting to change anything up. Tatua 100HS. This is an absolute workhorse of a reel that I've had this for years. It never fails. Love it. Set hook and just reel. And you don't have to worry at all. This 65-pound braid is not going to break. So opening weekend is this weekend. Get your power gear out. Get your 65-pound J braid. Set some hook on some dongs. donkeys, and you don't have to worry about fighting them and losing them in a tree or around roots. Haul them right out with your setup. I hope you have a great weekend. I've got 2 of 20 combos down, and we're getting ready for Saturday morning. Good luck bass fishing.